So the Lord recently restored my marriage. I think I mentioned in one of my videos. If I didn't, I'm gonna mention it now. I'm 22 years old and I've been married since 2019, and I have now 2 kids. I had 1 kid the last time I posted the video. Well, my last video. I had 1 kid and now I have 2. And yeah, the Lord recently restored my marriage. And so I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. So I have been dealing with the Jezebel spirit, and that spirit has come through lines of my family all the way up to me. And so that spirit was controlling, manipulative, and I'll talk more about that in another video. But right now I'm just talking about the restoration. But when you do have the Jezebel spirit, more than likely are not aware. To be honest, you're not aware with any type of spirit until the Lord puts the discernment on you, or somebody who has the discernment is able to tell you. Sometimes you just feel it, because I felt it at times. I'm completely delivered from it in the name of Jesus. But I'm going to explain in another testimony video about the Jezebel spirit, what the Jezebel spirit is, what it does, and how it affects women, men, people as a whole, and specifically marriages, because it affected my marriage. So growing up, I found myself watching a whole marriage based off Jezebel, which was my parents' marriage, and I thought it was the norm. But if you look at today, being a Christian in the Bible, it's not the norm to God. It's probably the norm in a society today. But my mother would control things in her marriage, and I thought it was okay to do that. I didn't even know it was control, to be honest. I thought it was just life. And I got married at 20, I believe. I was 19 going on 20. And I got married like a couple days before my birthday, my 20th birthday. And me and my husband, we did not want to tell anybody because it was just really our business. And we just wanted to get married, and we planned on leaving our homes in a couple months and then telling everyone, which we were supposed to just leave. Like, we were supposed to get that stuff set up and then leave then. But we were just like, let's get married. We're in love. And so we got married and we planned to leave. And my husband had a home, a really, really nice home prepared for us. And it was his parents' home. They had paid off the home and everything. It was a blessing, and they were willing to let us rent it out. So as time went on, we get married. As time went on, I found out that I was pregnant. And out of anxiety, I told my mother. We were going to keep that to ourselves. But I told my mother out of panicking, because I'm like, we don't have our place yet. We're married in secret, and now we have a baby on the way in secret. And so I told my mother, and my mother wanted to tell the entire family. And so we told everyone. He told his parents, told my parents, and my family. My parents did not want me to leave, and they did not want me to go to the area we were going to move in. And so it was my choice. So I will say I take full responsibility for the choices I made. So it's my choice to not go with my husband as I should have. But it was also my mother's norm of control and manipulation that led me to stay. And so I say that's a Jezebel spirit, because Jezebel is all about control and manipulation. And I grew up being controlled and manipulated and did not know I was being controlled and manipulated until things start to fall apart in my marriage. So because of that, I fought him on me not going into a home and not getting into a place for us to be in with our family and our marriage. And I constantly like pulled and tugged with him about it. And to the point where we got into an argument, and out of immaturity, I tried to file for divorce. Now again, because I was so upset, I went to talk to my mother, and my mother encouraged me to get divorced. But I take full responsibility again of my actions, because it was my choice to do what she told me to do, or do my own choice. But out of years of manipulation and control, I listened to her, because I said, okay, well, she's saying everything she's saying is right. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do what she's saying. And then she's telling me things that I should have done. And I just wanted to please my mother and my father. And so I filed, and he went through a lot in that time. He went through a lot. I went through a lot, but it was out of my own hand. It was in my hands that I went through a lot, but it was out of his hands that he went through a lot, because he really tried to fight for us. And so in that time, it was very depressing. It was very sad. And my family really did not want me to go back. But through prayer and through the Lord coming to me, I had to go back, because I was still in love with him, and it was not right. I allowed the spirit of manipulation, the spirit of control, the Jezebel spirit to not let my husband, let me let my husband lead. Sorry, y'all, I got tongue twisted. I allowed the spirit of Jezebel to control me, and then I allowed the spirit of Jezebel in me to not allow my husband to lead me. And so that is completely my fault, but the Lord always has his will and his way. And so I could hear the Lord. And so the Lord would tell me from time to time, you're not doing the right thing, you're not doing the right thing. And I knew I wasn't, and I did not want to leave. But at that point, my mother had already paid for divorce attorney. My mother had already encouraged me to do it. And so I still wanted to please her, but I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And so I told her, I paid her money back. And I told my whole family that I'm staying with my husband. As time went on, it was always my family, like, manipulating me into something against my husband. But it was also me and the Jezebel spirit in me that was doing something to where I did not allow him to lead me. Like when it came to our child, he wanted to have more time. We were in separate homes, and so like the whole deal with us getting into a place did not work out, because I opted out, and somebody ended up renting the house that we were going to be in. And so then that delayed us getting into a place even longer. And so then we ended up having a child in separate places. And so that messed up a lot, because the Lord says when you get married, you should leave your parents and go and live with your spouse. And so we did not do that. And that caused a lot of arguments, a lot of discord, division to happen. And then my family was always in our marriage. I always would talk to them. At some point, I learned to stop talking to them about our problems, but then I was talking to them, which was an issue. I didn't know how to be a wife. And so when I was hurt, I would go to them and I would say, oh, I'm hurt about this. And then they would try to talk me into doing things and tell me, oh, this is wrong. And they didn't really know everything. They didn't know the full story. And I allowed. And then thing about that spirit is it's manipulative. And so even when I did think that some of the stuff that I was saying was right, it was wrong. And they took it how they took it, and they called him wrong, when sometimes, most of the time, it really was me not allowing him to lead. And so one of the things that was a big problem was our kid. We had a kid, and he was over with me, but he wanted to have him over there sometimes. And I didn't allow him to have his kid over there. And so not only that, but when I did try to do it, my mom stopped and told me, you're a bad mother if you allow your child to go over there, which is another form of manipulation. And even till this day, I don't blame my parents or my family for the decisions that I've made. But the Lord opened my eyes to what the spirit was doing. And that was form of manipulation and control. And I picked up on that, and I even did it in my own marriage. See, some people think that having the Jezebel spirit is about always seducing someone sexually, or taking someone's husband or boyfriend, or ruining a relationship, that is the Jezebel spirit, but that's not all the Jezebel spirit is. You can have the Jezebel spirit by simply controlling people and manipulating people. And I picked up the spirit of control and manipulation from watching my mother. And my mother picked it up from watching other women in her family. And it's a spirit that was generationally passed on to the women. And I put that into my marriage, and my husband went through all of those years. So it was 3 whole years, all of those years of hurt, pain, depression, because I could not let him be a man. I would not let him be a man. And I would not allow him to do things that he wanted to do for us as a family. And so fast forward, we're on child number 2. And so we're on child number 2, and my husband is now to a point where he is fed up. He tells me he wants to get a divorce. Now, that spirit not thinking nothing of it, and me not thinking nothing of it, I'm just like, okay, whatever. But he's serious about getting a divorce, and eventually I realize, oh wow, he's serious. And so we go through the process. So first, he wanted the divorce in October. He told me that. My son was born in November. Through that time, all the way up to from October to December 24th, Christmas Eve, was where that whole process of the Lord teaching me what I was dealing with, and who was manipulating me in it, and how my marriage fell apart, and how my family played a part. And so once I went through that period of time, the Lord began to reveal to me. He had me read 1 Kings. And if you haven't read 1 Kings, read it, and you will find out a lot about Jezebel, even before I make the video about Jezebel. But I remember just constantly crying and being on my knees and praying to the Lord for restoration, because my husband at that point, he believed that the Lord was releasing him from me and telling him to leave me. So if you guys don't know, the Lord does not tell you to leave anyone in a marriage. Because of the pain that my husband went through, and all of the suffering, the sad, the hurt, he believed that the Lord was telling him to get up and go. And that's deception. And so at the time, I wasn't being a woman of God. I wasn't praying for my husband. And so I wasn't putting that head of protection over my husband through prayer like I was supposed to. And he began to be deceived. And all I could do was pray and read the Bible and pray and ask the Lord to fix and restore my marriage. And then the Lord finally spoke and said, I will restore your marriage. Have faith in me. And so I began to stick on my faith and stay on my face and cry out to the Lord. And I will often tell him, you're being deceived. You're being deceived. And I will say this, it was nothing but God to the reason why we are still together, because he actually went through the process of filing And the Lord has said to me, before Christmas, your family will be back together. And so I believe that, and I stood on that. Even in the last moments, I stood on that. It was December 24th, on the morning of Christmas Eve, and I remember sitting down, I was thinking to myself, Lord, you said the day, you said we would be restored before Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. How can that even be possible? Well, that night of Christmas Eve, he came to me. He just drove to my house, and he had said to me, you were right. Everything you said was right. I did not mention to my husband at all that the Lord said we will be restored before Christmas. I didn't mention that. I didn't say any of that. I just kept on my knees. I prayed, and I just heard God, and when he gave me the date, I just stuck to that, and I had hope and faith in it. And all I could do was pray for him, because it was deception he was dealing with, and he believes what he was getting was truly from the Lord. And so he got that from the Lord. But the Lord has said to him, you can leave. It's your choice, your free will. But it's not my desire. It's not my will for you to leave. That's not my will for you. But you have free will. And so the Lord has said that to him, and that's what drawed him back. And then he said, well, I choose to stay and work my marriage out. And so here we are today, and it's January, and we're working through our marriage. Things are better than ever. And through me going through the process that I went through and not listening to my parents when they wanted me to break things up in my marriage, it delivered me from that spirit, because I was under control by my mother. And everything I would do in my marriage was driven by my mother. I would always want to please her. And so once I stopped doing that, it began to deliver me. It began to deliver me, just keep delivering me and set me into where I was supposed to be. And so through that process, I got my delivery from the Jezebel spirit. I allowed my husband to leave. I've been allowing my husband to leave since then. And I've been telling myself, and the Lord's been telling me, when you go back, you have to let your husband lead. And so that's what I've been doing. And I'm happier in that way. But up to now, the Lord had been telling me before then that eventually you will have to leave your family. And that's another video that I'm going to talk to you guys about, because I didn't know when I was going to leave my family. He says you're going to have to leave your family and isolate from them. God told me that personally. And I didn't know when that was going to happen. I remember telling myself, like, when is that going to be? And then I said to the Lord, when am I going to leave? When am I going to isolate myself? And then it happened like that. I got into a huge blowout, an argument with my family. And it was all because, and this is another testimony, I'm going to talk about witchcraft. I have a sister who was speaking over my marriage. And that's witchcraft. She was speaking over my marriage. She was praying for me to leave my husband. And she's been doing it for years. And the Lord had revealed that to me while I was in the process of going through a divorce with my husband. She had been sending stuff in the spirit, and it's been attacking my family the entire time. And at that point, I did not want her to have contact with my children or touch my children, because she was against my family. She was praying against my family. And if you're praying prayers like that, it's not going to God. The one God, Jesus Christ, is going to the devil. It's going to the lowercase God, not the uppercase God. And so that's what she was doing. And so I went to her with a kind heart, and I said to her, I love you, but I cannot let you pick up my kids anymore. She exploded, and it made my entire family explode. I have 2 sisters. I have 2 brothers. 1 brother passed away, and I have my mother, my father. In that house was my 2 sisters. One of them, the one that was doing the witchcraft. And then my mother and my father was in the house. And the 4 of them snapped. And all I said the entire time was, I love you. And I knew it was a spirit. It wasn't them. I love them. But we got to know we don't fight with flesh and blood. We fight with spirits. We fight with principalities. And I will always remember that scripture. And so I gave them love back as they gave me hate. As they said things about my family and spoke poison onto my family. I spoke abundance onto my family. I spoke blessings onto my family. But I packed my bag as much as I could as they shouted through the door with my 2 kids with me, and they cursed. They tried to curse me and my family. I spoke against it and I told them I love them. But when I walked out the door and I got in the car, the Lord has said to me, that chapter is closed. Do not go back and to isolate myself from them. And so the Lord had already told me beforehand that I would have to isolate myself from them. But it ended up being sooner than I thought, and in a way that I did not think. And in that moment, I knew that the Lord was really changing in me, because I would have reacted the way as much hate as that was getting poured out onto me, all the hurtful things that was said to me and my family. I still responded with love, and I knew it was the Lord, because God, Jesus, that's what Jesus did. He responded with love when they had hate toward him. And I just knew it was the Holy Spirit that was on me, because I responded with love. But the Lord had told me not to ever go back. And he told me that for a while I won't see them, not to speak to them. I believe that one of these days, soon in another season, I will be able to speak to them. I will be able to love them. I will always keep praying for them consistently. But the Lord revealed the toxicity of my family, of the Jezebel spirit. I destroyed the Jezebel spirit on my life, but the Jezebel spirit was still active in their life. And if I stay in their life, that spirit will try to devour my family and me. And so the Lord says, what I have for you, they are not allowed to be with you, because they will break what I have for you if you continue to communicate with them, if you continue to keep them in your life. I will bring them back to you later, but you have to go your separate ways, your way, and close that chapter in your life. And I was obedient, and I closed the chapter in my life. I'm closing the chapter in my life, and I'm not going back. But that's how in short, this is a short way of explaining, because it's a lot to it, how I defeated the Jezebel spirit by just taking back the control from my family and allowing my husband to lead me the way my husband always wanted to lead me. And now I'm here today, and I have multiple testimonies, and the Lord is telling me to start putting my testimonies out. I hope this helps somebody. I'm going to post a video about the Jezebel spirit to give you guys a better take on what it is, how it controls your life, how it controls your marriage, how it messes up your marriage, and how you can identify if you have operated in it, or if someone around you have been operating in it and using you to control you and manipulate you. Because I experienced it both ways. I was being manipulated and controlled, and I was trying to control and manipulate my husband without even knowing. And that spirit is so dark. It has so much anger in it and confusion that it's disgusting spirit to deal with. And so when I came out of it, people around me said, you don't seem like the same person. Like, you're different. Like, wow, you're really like changing. And I see it in myself as well. And so I just encourage you guys to look into it. So if you want to look into it, go to 1 Kings. I will talk about 1 Kings in the future. I might even do a Bible study on 1 Kings so that we can all just go through it and hopefully you guys will identify some of those with some situations and be able to fix things that's going on in your life, fix patterns that you might have picked up from Jezebel, because that's a really big spirit out here today. Believe it or not, like I said earlier in the video, people think it's always about it's a sexual spirit, and it's always about taking somebody's man. Or because I used to think that when I was younger. I used to think, well, being a Jezebel, you must want to take someone's man. That's what a Jezebel is. No, it's deeper than that. And I'm going to talk about it some more later in my videos. I just want to thank you guys for staying in tune and watching this video all the way to the end. Everyone who watched it to the end, thank you. And I hope that this reaches somebody that needed to hear it, that is dealing with it and did not know they were dealing with it. I hope this reached them. And thank you. Subscribe, like, comment, and I will definitely respond.